Welcome back to the channel. I've got a new story for you tonight. One I found in a late-night thread on a workers' forum, posted by someone who sounded like they'd never work a night shift again. It's the kind of tale that makes you question who's really out there in the dark and what they're looking for. Here's what they wrote. I've been working the night shift at a gas station for the past 6 months. It's a small, run-down place on the edge of a rural highway, the kind of spot that's more for truckers and late-night travelers than locals. The station's old. Flickering fluorescent lights, a cracked counter, a coffee machine that hasn't worked in years. There's a single pump outside, rusted at the edges, and a flickering neon sign that buzzes louder than the crickets. It's isolated, the nearest town a 20-minute drive, the highway stretching out into the dark, flanked by fields and the occasional patch of woods. I'm used to the quiet, the long hours with nothing but the hum of the cooler and the occasional car passing by. I've never felt unsafe, not really, until last week. I work alone, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 5 nights a week. It's just me, a stool behind the counter, and a small TV that only gets 2 channels, both fuzzy. There's a back room for storage, boxes of chips, soda, cleaning supplies, and a bathroom that's more mildew than tile. The door to the back room has a lock, but it's flimsy, the kind you can jimmy with a credit card. I've never needed to use it. The job's boring, but it pays the bills, and I've always been a night owl. I keep a pocket knife in my bag, more for cutting open boxes than anything else. And there's a landline on the counter, though the signal's spotty out here. I've had weird customers before. Drunks, truckers who talk too much. Kids trying to buy beer with fake IDs, but nothing I couldn't handle. Until him. It was a Tuesday, colder than usual for late fall. The wind howling outside, rattling the windows. I was behind the counter, scrolling on my phone, the TV playing some old sitcom with the volume low. The clock read 2:17 a.m., and I hadn't seen a customer in hours. The highway was dead, the fields beyond the pumps swallowed by the dark. The only light coming from the station's flickering sign and the fluorescence overhead. I heard the crunch of gravel before I saw the headlights. A car pulling into the lot, slow and deliberate, parking just out of sight of the front windows. I sat up, my stomach tightening for no reason I could name, and waited for the door to open. It didn't. The car just sat there, engine idling, the headlights off, but the running lights casting a faint glow on the pavement. I couldn't see the driver, couldn't even make out the car's make or model, just its shape, low, dark, like a shadow on wheels. I waited, 1 minute, then 2, the hum of the engine, a low growl in the silence. I thought about going out to check, but something held me back. A feeling, heavy and cold, like I was being watched. I stayed put, my eyes on the door, my hand inching toward the pocket knife in my bag, just in case. The door finally opened at 2:25 a.m., the bell above it jangling with a harsh, grating sound that made me flinch. A man stepped inside, tall and broad, dressed in a heavy coat, the collar turned up, a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. His face was shadowed, but I could see his jaw, hard and unshaven, and his hands, big, calloused, one of them holding a pack of gum, the other in his pocket, like he was hiding something. He moved slowly, his boots scuffing the linoleum, each step deliberate, like he was measuring the space between us. He stopped at the counter, his head tilted slightly, and I felt his eyes on me, even though I couldn't see them.
"Evening,"
he said, his voice low, rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. He slid the gum across the counter, his fingers lingering on it a moment too long, his nails dirty, one of them cracked and yellow. I nodded, trying to keep my voice steady, and rang it up, 129. He didn't move, didn't reach for his wallet, just stood there, his head still tilted, his hand still in his pocket. I cleared my throat, told him the total, and he smiled. A slow, crooked smile that didn't reach his eyes, a smile that made my skin crawl. He pulled his hand from his pocket, and I tensed, expecting a weapon, but it was just a crumpled dollar bill and a few coins, which he dropped on the counter, the coins spinning for a moment before falling flat. I bagged the gum, handed it to him, my fingers brushing his for a split second. His skin was cold, clammy, like he'd been standing in the wind too long. He took the bag, his fingers wrapping around it slowly, deliberately, and leaned in, just a fraction, his breath sour like stale coffee and something metallic.
Quiet night?
He said, his voice softer now, almost a whisper, his eyes still hidden under the brim of his cap. I nodded, my throat tight, and he lingered a moment longer, then turned and walked out, the bell jangling again as the door swung shut. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding, my hands shaking as I sat back down. I watched through the window as he got into his car, the engine revving once, sharp and loud, before he pulled out of the lot, his taillights fading into the dark. I told myself he was just a weird guy, maybe a drifter, nothing to worry about. But I couldn't shake the feeling he'd left behind, like a stain in the air, heavy and wrong. I checked the clock, 2:35 a.m., 4 more hours to go. The rest of the shift was quiet, but I couldn't relax. I kept checking the windows, the door, expecting him to come back, expecting to see his car idling in the lot again. I turned the TV off, the laugh track too jarring, and sat in silence, listening to the wind, the hum of the cooler, the buzz of the sign outside. Around 4 a.m., I heard a noise, a soft thump like something heavy hitting the ground, coming from the back of the station near the storage room. I froze, my heart lurching, my hand on the pocket knife, the blade still in its sheath. I listened, the thump coming again, louder this time, followed by a faint scrape, like something being dragged across the concrete. I stood, my legs shaky, and crept toward the backroom door, the knife in my hand now, the blade still folded, but ready. The door was closed, the lock untouched, but the sound came again. Thump, scrape, thump, scrape, like someone was moving something heavy, something that didn't want to be moved. I pressed my ear to the door, my breath shallow, and heard a new sound, a low rhythmic tap, like fingernails on the wood, slow and deliberate, like someone was toying with the door, teasing me. I stepped back, my heart pounding, my mind racing. There was no one else here. I'd locked the front door after the man left, checked the lot, made sure I was alone. But the tapping was there, clear as day, on the other side of the door. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I backed away, my eyes on the door, the knife trembling in my hand, and grabbed the landline, dialing 911. The line crackled, the signal weak, but it went through, the operator's voice faint and distorted. I whispered that I thought someone was in my back room, that I was alone, that I needed help. She told me to stay calm, to lock myself somewhere safe, that a unit was on the way, but it'd be at least 15 minutes, maybe more, out here in the middle of nowhere. I hung up, my hands shaking, and looked around. The station suddenly too big, too open, the windows too exposed. The backroom door rattled, a sharp, sudden jolt that made me jump, the lock creaking under the pressure. The tapping stopped for a moment, then started again, slower, more deliberate, like whoever it was wanted me to know they were there, wanted me to feel their presence. I grabbed the stool from behind the counter, its metal legs scraping on the linoleum, and wedged it under the doorknob, my hands slipping with sweat. It wouldn't hold for long. The door was thin, the lock already loose. But it was something, a few extra seconds maybe. I backed away, my eyes locked on the door, the knife now open in my hand, the blade small and dull, but better than nothing. The tapping at the window stopped, and I heard the crunch of gravel outside, slow and deliberate, like he was coming closer, testing me. I stayed low, my eyes darting between the window and the backroom door, the knife in one hand, my phone in the other, the screen showing 4:12 a.m. The police were still too far, too slow, and I was running out of time. The backroom door banged again, the lock splintering, the stool tipping further, and I heard a new sound. A low, guttural chuckle, muffled but clear, like whoever was back there was enjoying this, savoring my fear. I couldn't stay here. I had to move, had to find a way out, but the station was a cage, the lot a death trap, the highway too far to run. The front door rattled, a sharp, sudden jolt, and I saw his shadow through the glass, tall and broad, his hand on the handle, testing it, the lock creaking under the pressure. I ducked behind the counter, my heart pounding. The backroom door gave way with a crack, the lock snapping, the stool and broom clattering to the floor. I heard the slow, deliberate scrape of boots on concrete, like someone was stepping into the station, taking their time, savoring the moment. I stayed low, my back against the counter, my eyes on the front door, where the man outside was still trying the handle, his shadow a dark smear against the glass. I was caught between them, two predators closing in, their movements synchronized, like they'd done this before, like they knew exactly how this would end. I heard the boots stop, the air heavy with the smell of sweat and something metallic, something like blood. The presence at my back so close, I could feel the shift in the air, the cold of his shadow on my skin. I turned, my knife raised, ready to fight, ready to scream, but the station was empty. The backroom door open, the darkness beyond it a void, a gaping maw that swallowed the light. I didn't wait to see if he was still there. I ran for the front door, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the lock, the siren louder now, the red and blue lights flashing in the distance. I threw the door open, the bell jangling wildly, and sprinted into the lot, the cold air biting at my skin, the highway stretching out before me, empty and endless. I didn't look back, didn't stop, just ran. The police lights growing brighter, the sound of their engines a lifeline in the dark. They didn't find him. The station was empty, the back room a mess, boxes overturned, a smear of something dark on the floor, like blood, but no one there, no sign of the man. They took the CCTV footage, hoping to get a lead, but the car's license plate was false, a dead end, like he'd planned it that way. They searched the area, found nothing, no footprints, no tire tracks, just the mess he'd left behind. They took my statement, said they'd keep looking, but I could tell they didn't expect to find him. He was gone, vanished into the night, like he'd never been there at all. I quit the job that night, moved to the city, but I still hear those sounds sometimes, in the dark, when I'm alone, the tap of fingernails, the scrape of boots, always just behind me, always waiting. I don't work nights anymore, don't go near gas stations, don't drive on rural roads, but I know he's out there, somewhere, watching, waiting for his next shift to end. That's it for tonight. If these stories hit you, drop a comment and tell me, did they get under your skin? Hit the like if you felt it, and subscribe for more. Turn on notifications too, the next one's coming. Until then, sleep light.